Welcome back to Rich Reads Academy. You're watching part 2 of our free video course on one of the most important financial books of all time, The Richest Man in Babylon. If you've already watched part 1, you now understand the 7 cures for a lean purse, the foundation of financial success. But principles are only part of the story. In this episode, we're looking at the people of Babylon, their decisions, mistakes, and triumphs. Because if you really want to change your financial future, you don't just need knowledge. You need examples. You need stories that show what it actually looks like to apply this wisdom in real life. That's what this video is all about. The Richest Man in Babylon is a book of parables, and the central character in many of those stories is Arkad, once a poor scribe, eventually the wealthiest man in the city. But he didn't start with riches. He didn't inherit them. He didn't discover a gold mine. He built his wealth slowly, methodically, with intention. So how did he do it? He started, like most of us, with frustration. Arkad worked hard, earned wages, and still had no money to show for it. Sound familiar? He asked himself the most important question anyone can ask when they feel stuck financially. Why am I not rich? That question didn't make him bitter. It made him curious. So he sought out someone who knew what he didn't, a moneylender named Algamish. Algamish agreed to teach him on one condition, that Arkad would put the lesson into action. So what did Algamish teach him? The same thing you heard in part 1, that a portion of everything you earn is yours to keep. Arkad saved his 10%, and then made his first big mistake. He gave his savings to a brickmaker to invest in foreign jewels. The brickmaker knew nothing about jewels. Arkad lost it all. It was a painful lesson, but one we all face at some point. You finally start saving, and the first thing you do is try to grow it fast. You hand your money to someone who seems confident, but isn't qualified. Babylon's lesson here is timeless. Don't trust your gold to people who don't understand how gold works. Don't ask your broke friend for investing tips. Don't follow strangers online who promise 10x returns. Wisdom matters more than hype. Arkad could have given up, but he didn't. He started again. He saved. He waited. And eventually, he invested his gold with a man who understood the trade. The returns were slow, but real. And over time, his wealth began to grow. That's the first great truth of this video. Your wealth will grow if you treat money like a seed, not a lottery ticket. Let's pause there and bring this to real life. How many of us have tried to shortcut the process? We save up a little money, then get tempted by the shiny new thing, crypto, flipping, some friend's business idea we barely understand. The truth is, most people lose money not because they're unlucky, but because they're impatient. Babylon teaches us patience. It teaches us that slow is steady, and steady is unstoppable. Let's move on to one of the most powerful stories in the entire book, the story of the slave who became a free man and eventually wealthy. His name is Shahrunada. He starts with nothing, not even his freedom. He's sold into slavery after a series of misfortunes. But instead of giving up, he commits to one idea. I may not control my circumstances, but I can control my mindset. He works hard. He earns trust. He starts saving, yes, even as a slave. And eventually he is allowed to make deals, manage resources, and buy his freedom. But he doesn't stop there. He keeps applying the same principles: saving, investing, growing. He becomes a respected merchant. He builds a name, a business, and a future. And it all started with discipline, humility, and action. The message here is so powerful. No matter where you're starting from, buried in debt, stuck in a low-paying job, frustrated by your past mistakes, you can still build something meaningful. You don't have to have perfect timing, perfect knowledge, or a 6-figure salary. You just have to commit to principles that work. The Richest Man in Babylon gives us these principles in story form, not because they're cute, but because stories stick. You remember them. And one of the most memorable is the story of Rodan, a man who earns a large sum of gold and doesn't know what to do with it. Rodan is a spearmaker. He's suddenly rewarded for his work and finds himself with more money than he's ever had. But instead of rushing to spend or invest it, he seeks advice from a wise moneylender. That advice? More relevant now than ever. The moneylender tells Rodan that the hardest part of wealth isn't earning it, it's keeping it. He warns against lending to friends who don't have the means to repay. He explains that emotion and guilt can ruin even the most thoughtful financial plans. And this is something we all need to hear. Sometimes, the biggest threat to your wealth isn't bad investments, it's good intentions. Saying yes to a friend who needs a loan, bailing out a relative without boundaries, giving because you feel guilty, not because it's wise. Generosity is beautiful, but Babylon teaches us that generosity must be guided by wisdom. Because if you destroy your financial base, you can't help anyone. It's okay to say no. It's okay to protect your purse. It's okay to grow your wealth so you can be generous from strength, not struggle. Let's return to Arkad. Eventually, Arkad becomes wealthy, so wealthy that he's asked by the king himself to teach others. And here's what's fascinating. He doesn't teach with spreadsheets. He doesn't use jargon. He uses parables, stories, questions, conversations. He teaches people to think, and one of the greatest things he teaches is this. Wealth isn't just about gold, it's about habits. The man who earns much but spends more is poorer than the man who earns little and saves consistently. The real divide in Babylon, and today, isn't income, it's mindset. And that brings us to one of the quietest but most powerful lessons in the book. Success with money isn't exciting, it's usually boring. Save, spend less, invest wisely, repeat. No drama, no tricks, just habits that stack over time. If you're waiting for your big break, your miracle, your sudden success, stop. Start with what you have, where you are, right now. You already know enough to begin. And if you keep going, your results will start to mirror those of the Babylonians we've just explored. So here's your challenge for this week. Pick one character from today's video, Arkad, Sharunada, Rodin, and ask yourself this. What would they do in my shoes? Would they spend impulsively? Would they invest in things they don't understand? Would they delay savings because it's not a good time? Or would they act, even with a small amount? That's your prompt. That's your turning point. Before we wrap, let's talk again about the book itself. If you've been following this series, you already know how impactful the ideas are. But the book has so much more to offer. Nuance, dialogue, unexpected wisdom, and those subtle shifts that only come when you read something for yourself. I encourage you to grab a copy of The Richest Man in Babylon using the link below. It's short, easy to read, and one of the few books that grows with you. You'll see new things every time you pick it up. Also, to help you reflect on these stories, I've put together a free PDF guide called 3 Wealth Parables You'll Never Forget. It includes a summary of Arkad's rise, Sharunada's steps from slavery to freedom, and the key advice from the gold lender to Rodin. Each one comes with reflection questions and space to jot down your own action steps. You can print it, you can stick it in your journal, or you can just use it to remind yourself that wealth is built, not wished for. It's completely free, and the link is below this video. In part 3 of this series, we'll take all these lessons, the 7 cures, the Babylonian stories, and turn them into a clear, 30-day action plan. Something you can actually follow, something that won't overwhelm you, something that might just change your life. So if you haven't already, hit subscribe, grab your free download, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay focused, stay consistent, and keep building your fortune, one decision at a time.